The Adventure of the Speckled Band, extended version. It was early in the morning when Sherlock Holmes and I, Dr. Watson, received an unexpected visitor at 221B Baker Street. The woman at our door was pale, trembling, and visibly distressed. Holmes, with his usual keen observation, immediately gestured for her to take a seat. "You are shivering," he said gently. "May I offer you some tea?" The woman nodded, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "My name is Helen Stoner, Mr. Holmes. I have come to you because I fear for my life. My twin sister, Julia, died 2 years ago under mysterious circumstances, and now I believe I am in the same danger." Holmes leaned forward with interest. "Please, Miss Stoner, tell us everything from the beginning." Helen took a deep breath and began her tale. She and Julia had lived at Stoke Moran, an old country estate, with their stepfather, Dr. Grimesby Roylott. He had spent many years in India and was known for his violent temper. Since their mother's death, he had become more reclusive, allowing no visitors and spending much of his time alone in his study, filled with strange artifacts from India. 2 years ago, Helen continued, Julia was preparing to be married. One night she came to my room, frightened. She had heard a low whistle in the dead of night. I told her it was probably nothing, but she insisted it happened on several occasions. That night, I heard a terrible scream. I ran to Julia's room and found her collapsed on the floor. She managed to whisper her last words. It was the speckled band. Then she died. Watson and I exchanged glances. Holmes steepled his fingers. "And now you are hearing this whistle?" Helen nodded. "Yes. My stepfather is forcing me to move into Julia's old room because of supposed renovations in mine. Last night I heard the same whistle. I knew I had to seek help." Holmes rose abruptly. "We must go to Stoke Moran immediately. Watson, fetch your coat." At Stoke Moran, the manor was as eerie as Helen had described. The air was thick with tension, and the house itself seemed to be in decay. We were greeted by Dr. Roylott himself, a towering man with a cruel expression. He glared at us and spoke in a growl. "I know why you are here, Holmes," he said. "You have no business meddling in my affairs. Leave at once." Holmes remained calm. "I have merely come to ensure Miss Stoner's safety." Roylott scowled and stormed off, disappearing into his study. Once he was gone, Holmes and I began our examination of Julia's old room. Holmes noted several peculiarities: a bell pull that did not function, a vent that connected to Roylott's room rather than outside, and a bed that was bolted to the floor. "Fascinating," Holmes murmured. "Watson, we must spend the night here." The deadly night. Helen agreed to sleep elsewhere, while Holmes and I hid in her room, waiting. The night was silent except for the occasional rustling of leaves outside. Then, around midnight, we heard it. A soft hissing noise, followed by a low whistle. Holmes sprang into action, striking the bell pull with his cane. A sudden, horrifying scream erupted from the next room. We rushed in to find Dr. Roylott slumped in his chair, a venomous snake coiled around his head. "The swamp adder," Holmes said grimly. "The deadliest snake in India. He trained it to slither down the bell rope and attack his victims in their sleep. But tonight, it turned on him." Helen was safe at last. As we left Stoke Moran, Holmes turned to me. When one sets a trap for others, Watson, one must be prepared to fall into it oneself. And with that, another mystery was solved.